Let me say right from the start that going into this game, I had some serious reservations. This is not the type of game I would normally get involved with. In fact, I generally hate playing games like this with ticking bomb countdowns or time limit coercion to complete what often seem to me like repetitious Pavlovian tasks. If you're a sub of my gaming channels or a regular watcher of my gaming uploads, you know I have an affinity for open world RPGs, where you can do whatever you want in whatever order and on whatever timeline you choose. For better or worse, that's my preferred gameplay. I imagine some might consider that, quote, lazy, unquote, gaming, and that's fine if you're the more FPS, pressure-packed, adrenaline junkie type gamer. But that's generally not my bag when it comes to video games. To each his own and all that. Additionally, after uploading only a few installments of this series, I started to get hit with some serious concerns about its viability, or more importantly, its watchability, if that's even a word. And those worries were in no way alleviated by the fact that a good friend of mine, whose opinion I value greatly, read me the riot act about how dark the videos were. He told me he tried his damnedest to give me the benefit of the doubt and to sit down and watch them before getting completely frustrated by not being able to see a fucking thing. The only pushback I could offer was a weak, well, how do you think I feel trying to play a game in the dark like this? Problem is, asking for sympathy for playing a video game is not the best defense strategy. I probably need not remind you. Consider the recording you're watching right now as I babble away in this review as a gift to all of you who hung in there, despite maybe feeling exactly like my friend about how challenging this series was from a viewer's standpoint. Thank you for sticking with it if you're one of those poor tortured souls. Anyway, all of that background exposition is simply to set up the question of how I found my way to Slender Man 8 Pages and why I not only played it, but uploaded a series for it, despite it not being anywhere near my thing and not exactly lending itself to a high view count besides. As mentioned, I'm an RPG grinder most of the time, so I wanted to get out of my comfort zone with the next IP I chose. Little did I know how far I was going to get out of that comfort zone, but we'll get to that shortly. What I was looking for was a puzzle game along the lines of Myst, which I really enjoyed playing back in the day, but whether through my own incompetence or lack of such games existing anymore in the marketplace, I don't really know, but I wasn't having much luck finding one. And then search results on either GOG or Steam, can't quite remember which, spat out the second Slender Man installment, Slender: The Arrival. And then all those 2012 memes came flooding back to me. And even that disturbing story about those weird Washington State girls who stabbed one of their friends to death as a sacrifice to Slender Man, that got shaken loose from the deep recesses of my memory somehow. And I don't think that was the only act of violence attributed to Slender Man. Personally, I don't give much weight to the notion that there's an actual connection between fictional characters and real-life crime or violence. At least nothing solid enough which would warrant a change of our laws. And if we did change our laws, I don't think mentally ill people would change their behavior. They're going to do what they're going to do, whether game developers try to scare us with their chilling and monstrous creations or not. Now, I had never played any version of the Slender Man games until starting this series. I really only had passing exposure through people posting jokes about them in online forums. And I was curious why I could only find part 2 of the franchise on distribution sites like GOG and Steam. And then more general search engine results gave me the answer pretty quick. The original is free to play. Well, that settles that, doesn't it? I thought, feeling my outsized cheapo streak being gently and lovingly caressed. I found my next game. So, despite not intending to go the horror game route, and it being something I mostly avoid, I ended up there regardless. And frankly, I'm very happy I did, because this game deserves every bit of praise it receives, and probably more than it receives. It truly is a one and only classic that even someone like me who's not into the genre can appreciate. First of all, it's genuinely scary as hell, without a single bit of gratuitous gore to it, which is quite an accomplishment, and something worth noting, I think. As sort of a comparison, I also have never played Silent Hill, but I have seen clips of gameplay and some scenes from the movies. Maybe there was only one movie, I'm not real sure. And I would suggest the Slender Man is much more effectively terrifying than a blood-soaked butcher like Pyramid Head, who ends up grossing you out more often than frightening you, in my humble opinion anyway. Now that I've brought up the two together in the same sentence, who do you think would win in a fight, Slender Man or Pyramid Head? this channel always asks the most pressing and urgent questions of our time. Now, that intense fear of Slender Man you have at the start does ebb to some degree after many attempts. I don't think there's anything surprising about that. But again, to the game's credit, it never goes away completely. Each and every time I entered that damn building, I was legitimately on edge. Despite maybe getting a little glib and cracking some Slenderman jokes here and there in other places, once I had a number of tries under my belt, that is, and that initial all-consuming dread subsided somewhat. And maybe that's really the whole point of this review and the whole gist of the review, and probably the best thing about this game. 8 Pages does not rely solely on scaring the bejesus out of you. Its true charm, if a game like it can be said to have any, is in frustrating the living hell out of you. At some point, you want to slam your fist on the keyboard and say, it's only 8 damn pages, why can't I find them all? And you're really not doing that out of anger, you're doing that out of thrill for the challenge. What keeps you restarting the game over and over again is that daunting challenge of deconstructing Slenderman's maneuvers and tactics and finally outsmarting him, which you simply cannot do without simultaneously becoming exquisitely familiar with your slender woods surroundings. You have to construct a painfully accurate mental map in your mind almost down to the last tree in the forest, while trying to figure out what he's up to behind you or wherever he is, because one false move or blunder into a vehicle bumper, a fence, or a tree trunk, and you're caught up in his tentacles once again. That's the real magic of this game, if you ask me. It's difficulty, not its potential to cause faint-hearted players to pee themselves or run away from the screen or whatever. I have to say, I have never experienced such a unique test of my gaming chops, and probably never will again, unless I play the follow-up, Slender: The Arrival, which I do plan on doing, by the way, perhaps as a live stream, so stay tuned for that announcement. The problem with that is I'm not really sure I'll be able to pull that off because my upload speeds are terrible, and I don't know how happy I'll be with providing 720p content if I can even achieve that much. Also, I'm not sure what platform I choose to do it on. There does seem to be an endless variety of streaming sites these days. DLive, Trovo, Periscope, etc., which is nice because YouTube is algorithmic death anymore, unless you're already famous. And Twitch has too many irritating censorship rules as well. Now, the rumor is BitChute and Odyssey are trying to get live streaming up and running, and they would be my first choices because they're new platforms and just seems more exciting to me than trying to break through on YouTube or Twitch. But I have a feeling it will be limited access for bigger channels for some time, until the kinks are all worked out, and I'm quite small potatoes indeed. No one, and I mean no one, does me any favors as far as exposure on social media by posting my videos or attracting subs in some way. I'm not doing too bad with view counts despite all that, but that's about all I can pat myself on the back for right now. It seems like not too many people feel inspired to post my videos on Twitter or Facebook or wherever to give me some of that exposure. And I'm pretty sure Twitter, at least, censors BitChute links for some silly reason, so even if somebody felt inspired to do me the favor, it wouldn't do much good on Twitter anyway. YouTube simply crushes me algorithmically, as mentioned, and that's basically due to my past political content on my original channel, and because, as I mentioned, it is concentrating on promoting stuff that needs no promotion for whatever reason it has deemed to do this. So I just use YouTube as like video storage and video backup, a backup site for me. Bottom line is, I scratch and claw my way to getting each and every eyeball turned toward my content, all on my own, which I'm not crying about at all. It probably sounds like that. I'm just stating the pure facts here. In fact, it's kind of nice to know when my small number of followers watch, it's because they genuinely have an interest in doing so, and not because they're zombie marching to the recommendations of a more famous content provider, or because I won the meaningless YouTube recommended video list lottery. Also, another live stream showstopper for me at the moment is my 4K TV stopped working, and either I need to get a new one or replace whichever board in it went bad. I'm pretty sure it's either the LED driver board or the power board. I can see like the sort of shadow or ghost images of the lettering, but the LED board is not lighting up. Not really a big deal, either fixing it or replacing it, but these things do take time. So I thought it was a good idea right now to change gears for a bit and do some review videos while Geezer Gaming Studios is under repair. There will be a Witcher 3 review video shortly after this one, so keep that in mind. But to record gaming videos, I really need both my TVs functioning. Well, I guess need is the wrong word. I don't need both, and I could do it with just one, but I prefer to be able to rapidly check utilities like OBS and MSI Afterburner while I'm recording on one screen as I game on the other. It's the way I've worked this setup out, and to change it now is just it's going to make me uncomfortable, which I don't want to be while gaming. I try to get in as comfortable a situation, position, physical position, software situation as possible so that my focus can mostly be on the game, and when I need to move it off the game, I do it very quickly and then come back to the game. It's the way I have to operate for whatever reason. And whenever I limit my ability to do that or to operate in that way, it always seems like I screw something up, such as the time I fouled up the recording resolution on a Vampire the Masquerade Redemption episode. If OBS hadn't been hidden under the redemption window, probably would have noticed the error much sooner than I did. Okay, all that belly aching aside, the point is I want to do an Arrival series. I want to do the second installment of Slender Man as a series, but I need to weigh my options on how I'm going to go about it. I suppose it's not the end of the world if I have to stream at terrible resolutions, because I can do a simultaneous recording and upload that as installments of 1080p or better. I've purchased and played a few minutes of Arrival just to see what it's like, but I haven't really delved into the settings yet because there's not much sense into going there until I get my better 4K TV up and running again. I'm not entirely positive, but I figure the game will offer higher resolutions and better FPS for that monitor, because the present one, my workhorse TV, so to speak, is a plasma dinosaur that doesn't even go above 30 hertz, and therefore it won't go above 30 FPS. I do have to say, though, I still like the warmth of the image it produces, however. I guess that makes me a dinosaur, I don't know. So to wrap things up here before I meander even farther afield and make this the longest review video ever, if you haven't played Slender 8 Pages, you absolutely must. I'm not even going to say you should, you must. It's just sort of one of those games you have to experience at some point if you consider yourself a gamer of note, whatever that means. If you consider gaming important to your life, Slender 8 Pages has to be on your bucket list. It just has to. Besides, it's free and it's freaking fantastic. And that's even if you don't feel like it's your cup of tea, because remember, it's not mine either, and I still ended up enjoying pretty much every minute of gameplay. Oh, and I should note that although I only uploaded 13 episodes, I could have posted 50 of them. I made many more attempts at completing the game than I showed you guys, because I was looking for something short and sweet to add to my multitude of never-ending grinder RPG series, and as I pointed out at the beginning of this review, I was a little wary of reception since you're wandering around in pitch black blindness for most of this game. Turns out, though, my worries were probably baseless, because BitChute viewers clicked on this series about as much, if not more, than my other content. And that, I have to say, makes me swell with a bit of gamer pride, because this is one demanding game I am quite proud of cracking, and I had a ton of fun putting my often ham-fisted attempts at defeating it on display for everyone. I didn't pull any punches playing this game. I had to summon all my gaming skills and failed over and over again for everyone to see, despite my best efforts, and for lack of a better way of putting it, I laid it all on the gaming line, so to speak, before finally finding a way to get that last page. Now, that might all sound a bit dramatic and heavy-handed or whatever, but I have a feeling many people have a similar experience with 8 Pages, and a lot of them never managed to complete it besides, I'd wager. If you play this game, you will be driven to the limits of your gaming faculties, and you will enjoy every last frustrating minute of it. I guarantee it. All right, everyone. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next upload.